Hey everybody, Professor Reed here. I want to do an update. I hope everybody's doing well. First of all, welcome to the semester. We're chugging along. And the 202 section, this is the first time I've taught it all asynchronous. So what I'm going to try to do, I got the YouTube page which this is posted on. So like and subscribe, I guess we should say. In addition, I'm going to try to post some weekly videos. And in a lot of ways, this is sort of a work in progress. I've taught 202, multiple versions of it, like for multiple semesters, but I've never done it completely online and completely asynchronous. So a little bit of a learning curve here. So what I did was I went through and I took some screenshots of the module section and just want to walk you through the first essay. First of all, before we get into that, just keep in mind my email address is going to be spr12@pennstate.edu. That's my name. That's my email address. Now, if you send me email from there, I try to respond very quickly because it's one of those things that like if I put it off, I could end up falling behind or whatever. And then my email address is spatrickreed@yahoo.com. So that's a way. I'll probably respond back to that. I'm what they call an adjunct professor, and really proudly so because I really enjoy the lifestyle around it, and it keeps me, like involved with multiple schools across the board. But this sort of streamlined the process for me in terms of getting back to you. In addition, if you need office hours, or you got just a general question, I know a few people wrote about it, and it was really helpful. Email me. You can email either address. It's going to go to the same basic place. And I can set up Zoom office hours really across the board. We can talk. And a lot of times, especially with like MLA or APA type of formatting questions, that's something we can do via email. Okay, so I wanted to do this quick video, put it up tonight. But in addition, I'm here for you. Usually most of the students are pretty successful. Everybody's introductions were pretty amazing. So yeah, if you got my contact email, reach out to me. We can set up a Zoom office hour that really works around both of our schedule. Okay, now if you go to the assignment section in the modules, you're going to see a couple items that are due. I just want to walk you through this. Obviously, I shouldn't say like that. If you have a question about an assignment, please email me if you want some clarification about it. But basically, this first essay is on this concept of discourse community. So what I would do is I would watch the video on YouTube that I posted about the concept of discourse community. Now, the idea is that you're going to select a certain group, and throughout the semester, we're going to write, 3 major essays about the discourse community. You're going to talk about them. We're going to have a cause and effect essay. We're going to have this sort of anthropological type of essay. And one of the things you'll want to note about it, we're really not arguing a position about the groups, right? So whatever discourse community you choose, you can, you're going to basically do a deep dive into them. And then throughout the semester, you're going to sort of expand on, concepts related to that discourse community. So, this is also good. I know I'm at Penn State, and I mentioned that, but this is also a good, being an adjunct, at a variety of different schools. And I teach a very similar essay, at some other locations. And, across the board, this is in spring 2023. Last semester, I had some really good papers on all sorts of different discourse communities. Now, the typical sort of like discourse community subject matter that I've had, there's some sort of classic groups that occur. I would say veganism is going to be one of those sort of classic discourse communities that people will write about. And one of the things you will want to know, there are interview questions, which I'm going to make another video on. But just know that in your discourse community and on the proposal, it actually says to list 4 people that you're going to interview. However, those people in the actual paper, you only have to do 2. So if you look at the rubric, which I'll make a video on, all you have to do is 2 interviews, and really only have to have them wedged into the essays. The idea is we're trying to connect primary sources and secondary sources, which for folks in all sorts of different majors is going to be, rather critical for you as you move forward. Okay, so the interview questions are due. Then this is in the spring semester. I'm going to be doing the 24th. I'll make another video about that. Really, you just want to make the questions, and keep in mind, like, you do want to have a group that you have a little bit of access to. Now, being here post-COVID, well, we shouldn't say post-COVID. We're still, still different variants kicking around out there. But being where we're at throughout this semester here, and where we're at with, like learning overall, I've done this essay for a while now, and the idea of who you can interview, we used to do face-to-face interviews, and now, it's a little more complicated, and options like posting on a Reddit board or doing a YouTube, especially in the comment section type of interview. Obviously there's a phone interview, there's something in person, but there's really a lot of flexibility with this. And I found last semester in fall 2022, a fair amount of professors were very engaged with some of the different discourse communities, and they did some quick interviews. Now, for veganism, right? For example, if you chose veganism, and we're going to try to stay away from that because it's been done so many times, but you could interview maybe somebody that is currently vegan, or somebody that's formerly vegan, or somebody that like maybe objects to veganism on some level. Or you could interview a nutritionist, maybe even a psychology professor, if you want to talk to that, or maybe somebody that does it for more religious reasons. So the amount of people you can interview for this paper is pretty wide range, and try not to limit what you write about, because you think you can't interview somebody, because a lot of times there's a lot of sort of creativity that goes into the writing process. Now, I've taught journalism for a couple of years, and that was always one of the things that made a journalism class a little bit more difficult, was that they were trying to go out and find, somebody to interview, and it may not be somebody they could sort of like interview in person. But please, look at this idea of discourse community, be creative about it. I will tell you, like, sort of the classics. Veganism is one of them. One semester I had a ton of people who wanted to do the Amish, and which is sort of pre-COVID. And the Amish are actually, I think, pretty reticent about interviewing. But the thing was, students actually interviewed somebody that was former Amish. So any type of religious group, I've had papers on Jehovah's Witnesses. I've had papers on the Amish. I've had papers on, like groups that gravitate towards cult types of religion, like Scientology. There was a paper last semester on the Westboro Baptist Church. Now, they didn't interview somebody from the church, and that's a good thing, but they did talk to like a psychologist or a religion professor about that. So there's a lot of flexibility. Now, groups that have been, sort of deemed hate groups and that sort of thing, there's a fair amount of groups there. And, over time, that sort of evolved. One of the papers you're going to see is people have interviewed or written papers on the incel community, which, if you're a criminal justice major, it's sort of a really interesting subject to look at. I sort of have a proclivity for conspiracy theories. Now, you don't have to write it on a conspiratorial group per se, but individuals that would gravitate towards conspiracy theory. Now, the first essay you're going to write, it doesn't really judge the conspiracy theory group, and it's sort of like an interesting question, what sort of counts as a conspiracy theory group, because I think some are more like innocuous. They're not going to be quote unquote evil, and there's some that are very extreme. We would all sort of agree could be pretty detrimental. So you've got what you want to do, and the reason I'm bringing up the interviews is that is going to be one of these sort of elements of the paper as you move forward. But please reach out to me. A lot of times, professor to professor, or I guess I'm an adjunct. Sometimes they'll see that and maybe sort of judge me for that sort of thing. But I can reach out to a professor, maybe try to get to a little bit of communication, and it's amazing sometimes what people will do. in order to get an interview. And sometimes like people are really into wanting to interview, but it is one of the things that we want to make sure we try to get into the rough draft, which is due on the 31st. And it's definitely something that we want to be cognitive of as we move forward. Now, here's the thing as well, because of the online classes, maybe I might change the due dates a little bit depending on the feedback we get about it. But like we'll adjust that as we go. There's going to be a lot of flexibility with the online environment. And if you got any questions about it, please send me an email. Now, also the proposal, which is due on the 24th, and that's a certain percentage of the grade. Let me go to the next slide. Okay, yeah, and so a little bit, module 1, the discourse community overview is a PDF. I got an example of the vegan proposal, which we'll go over in a second. I've got the blank proposal, okay, which is going to be what you want to download. So you want to download that third option down, the discourse community blank proposal, and then fill it out for your specific group. And the one on vegans, the one on anti-vaccination are just examples of the proposal that students have done in the past, okay? And the Dropbox for it is there, it's up there as well. The Dropbox for that one is actually the digital Maoism piece, okay? But the proposal Dropbox is at the bottom there. So module 1, Dropbox for proposal is there. And I think the discourse community proposal DOC PDF, can I make that any more complicated? I think that's also another example of the proposal. Okay, so what you want to do is just download the blank proposal, which is the third document down, then decide on your discourse community, email me if you need any help with it. Last semester I had psychology students that wrote about individuals that were really sort of like obsessed with serial killer or true crime culture, and it was a really nice fit for the next essay. Keep in mind, at the time, the Dahmer series was on, and there was a lot of conversations about that. I've also had, people write about Satanism. I had a few papers on sort of the satanic panic, and really interesting papers about that. Music genres, people will write papers about that. So, what we're trying to do in this paper is we're going to do the proposal first, then we're going to interview, and that's going to be sort of the primary source material. And then, really from the proposal, the essay is going to build out of there. Okay, so there's the Dropbox for it, and then there's the examples there. That's module 1. And in module 2, I had a sort of a hard time taking a screenshot of this. Okay, that's got the overview for the essay, which you can look at. It's got the interview questions Dropbox. It's got the rough draft submission box as well. Okay, and remember, I feel like I may change that due date for that, so I'll keep that posted. It's got the rubric for the essay, and what I'm going to try to do is weekly or maybe even like twice a week. I'm going to try to put the videos up here on YouTube, so I'll put a link to it. And then it's got a chapter outcome from They Say I Say. It's got a chart from They Say I Say. And then it's got a lecture on the different types of paragraphs, which we'll talk about a little bit in the future. It's got an MLA specific YouTube video that I made, and it's also got, it looks like some other proposals as well. So it's a little clunky. What I did was last semester I actually added a few of my current students' proposals, and I think that one there is on COVID, people that sort of believe COVID is some form of a conspiracy theory, which is sort of interesting because I guess get politically polarizing, but there's some nuances to it. And the last one there is another example of a proposal as well. So it's a little bit clunky, and that's why I want to make the video, because I basically copied it over from Canvas. Okay, now the main thing, so remember what's due over the next couple days. We'll go to the next slide, is this proposal. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to find your discourse community. If you got a problem with it, email me. If you got a question about it, email me. Try to be creative with these. Just know that, like every semester I get some classics, and every semester I get some new ones, right? So then what you're going to do is we're going to analyze this discourse community. And there's a gentleman by the name of John Swales, and I'm not sure if he's still alive, but he was I want to say a linguist from England, and he basically defined discourse community, and he really broke down this idea of discourse community around shared common language or vocabulary, shared common behaviors, practices, and procedures for doing things, shared common goals, beliefs, attitudes, and assumptions, shared common ways of communicating with others, and has a threshold for membership or a means of recognizing who does not and who does and does not belong to the community. Oh my God, I got a little tongue tied there. Okay, so basically those 5 ideas are going to be the driving force for our points of analysis. And the document I have, and it's a little bit harder to see, is basically in the proposal. And what you want to do is download the proposal and then just sort of brainstorm about your group, right? So if you have a group and they have like a common language, which can be memes, which can be hashtags, is really sort of a fascinating evolution with this that's occurred. Or if they have certain terminology that they use, and you can refer back to the proposals and see what they did. Just sort of brainstorm with these. So like really don't for the proposal. It's more of a chance to have a conversation about the group you're in and just see if they're a good fit. And ultimately, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. Ultimately, your interview questions are going to come out of this proposal. So you basically want to brainstorm for each one of these for your specific community. Download the blank proposal and then fill it in for your community. You don't need to put links in there. You just want to sort of brainstorm on it. And I would really recommend, this is why I made the video for multiple reasons, but look at the modules and look at the examples that are there and sort of use that as a baseline. Okay. And, and also, think about like, you're going to have to interview somebody. We definitely want to be aware of like, the complexities of that, but I'm gonna guarantee you that the majority of times students can get pretty creative in terms of who they interview. Okay, so if you're a fan of like cosplay or you're a fan of gamer type of culture, if you're sort of into like the conspiracy side, you can do that. Although that's not necessarily the theme of the class, it's more this idea of discourse community. Feel free to use something like that. That being said, I've had really amazing papers on, really eclectic type of groups. I mentioned Satanism. I had a paper on furries last semester, and we'll actually probably read that on online. And like students did a great job sort of exploring that, and they actually talked to people who were members of it, and it grew into the neit's paper as well. So thematically, we're trying to like make these connect and sort of flow together. And I'm gonna, the 202 classes I had last semester, 202A class, we met Monday, Wednesday, Friday, smaller group, amazing job with the papers. Really enjoyed that class a lot. Yeah, amazing students for that. So basically you download it, look at the proposal, and then fill it out. And then what you want to do is save it and then upload it into the inbox that's up on Canvas I just showed you. And then, I'll go through and look at it and try to give you feedback about it. And the idea is that this is going to sort of form the topic sentences for the paper. Okay, so hopefully this is helping out. And then lastly, on the proposal, you want to list 4 people that you can interview, right? So remember, you're going to interview 2 people, and they can be professors, they can be former members, they can be current members. There's a wide array of different individuals that you can look at. I had a few students last semester do body modification. Maybe like sort of like tattooing as like a discourse community. And I want to say that, across the board, these are multiple papers. I had one student that interviewed a tattoo artist. I had one student that interviewed a historian about sort of the complexity of the history of tattooing. Had another student that interviewed somebody that like objected to tattooing, which is sort of like an interesting thing. And I had another student interview somebody that got some tattoos removed, right? So they got some tattoos removed and they sort of explored that. Okay, so now ultimately know that only 2 of the interviews have to go into the paper. And what we're going to try to do is as the paper develops, we're going to try to tie the source material together and make the connections there. But please, if you got a question about the interviews, let me know. And if you got a question about the discourse communities, let me know. And if you got a question about the proposal, let me know as well. And if you need to set up Zoom or what have you, I've literally met students for 10 minutes and they've been amazing conversations. So I think that's it for the update today. And I'm going to continue to do the updates. I want to stay fully engaged, and I appreciate everybody hanging with me because the learning curve for the asynchronous class. I have taught asynchronous classes in the summer, and that's been helpful too. So hopefully this is good. And I'm going to post it on YouTube. And oh my God, could I have a more corny slide? But yeah, goodbye. We'll talk soon.